Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journey of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Amar Elm, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Chad, the founder of CNK Consultants, a firm dedicated to transforming workplaces through leadership development, team building, and organizational consulting. Based in Chicago, Chad has built a reputation for helping businesses enhance performance and culture, drawing on his deep experience in coaching and strategic planning. Today, we'll dive into his founding story, how CNK Consultants drives impact, and his plans for scaling in the competitive consulting industry. Chad, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Excited to have you. Let's dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. Walk us through what was the inspiration behind starting CNK Consultants?
Yeah, so CK Consultants, it's been something that's been in mine and my co-founder's brain for a good duration of time. So I hired Kaitlyn, who is my co-founder, right out of college. And over the past 10 plus years, I've hired her 4 times at different locations. So we've been working together as this power duo for a long time. We know each other and our skill sets are so complementary. There's definitely some overlap, but there's also between the two of us, we're like the perfect marketer. And so as we work together, we clearly love working with each other. And it really doesn't matter what business we're on, we wind up having a really good time. And in every sort of environment that we've been building things from scratch. Everything changes in marketing all the time.
Of course.
But being able to weather the storm, pivot when you need to, and find new ways of doing things, that's a key strength of ours. We always said, hey, at some point, it'd be amazing if we had our own thing, we could be our own bosses and let's go. And so it just came to a point in our time where I was taking a break between a role that I just finished, and Kaitlyn was already doing her own freelance work. I was too. Between jobs, I always dabble around and do things. I always have something going on. And we got our heads together and said, hey, maybe now is the time to build something together and see what we can do. And so that's how we arrived at, yep, let's build this.
That's awesome. Was it not a snap decision, but was it like, hey, let's jump right into this? Or was there a lot of prep and planning and preparation into starting this new firm?
Yeah, so we both have had some experience consulting individually. So the consultant business wasn't something that's new to us. However, it's never been as much of a focus as it clearly is now. We're trying to make this our main source of livelihood. And so that's a little bit different. So the
Mm,
idea, getting over the hurdle of, yeah, do we want to be a consultant full time? That was easy. But then it was more about how are we going to be different from
yep.
all the other ones you talked about earlier, early up in the lead up to this. Man, we are one of many. So what's our point of difference? Where are we focused? How do we want to market ourselves? How do we want to talk about ourselves? All of that took more thinking and planning,
Mm.
as well as we're building kind of the foundational work for our brand. What's our biz dev roadmap? How are we going to go about getting new business? What are the partnerships we want to explore? What do we want to prioritize in order to try and make this business meaningful?
So walk me through that. What is that ideal customer avatar you're going for? How do you want to position yourself, differentiate yourself? Walk me through that.
Yeah, so I think that when you look at Kaitlyn and I's experience, we're very diverse. We've worked on, man, I've worked on B2C organizations, primarily direct to consumer organizations, B2B SaaS, and associations, nonprofits, run the gamut. And so I've worked with Walmart a lot, but I've also worked with associations a lot. And so our time with Gather Voices is where we really got introduced to trade associations, nonprofits, and really community-driven organizations. And those
Mm.
organizations speak to us personally in terms of filling up our cup personally. And so our niche really is we are expert marketers, but we're focused with community-driven organizations. And for those types of organizations, we're not looking to work with Susan G. B. Komen. Like that's a huge organization.
Yeah.
We're really more targeting the organizations that maybe don't have the funds for a full-time CMO, or maybe have a special project that their team is, my cup runneth over, I don't have the bandwidth for this. I need to plug in someone here that can fill that hole.
Yep.
And that's where we're focused. So whether it be, listen, I need someone to come in and help me innovate, because trade associations, nonprofits are known for being behind the times, marketing
Oh yeah.
innovation style. So let's do a full kind of analysis of what we've got and how we can innovate, how we can prioritize, and what's the path forward, through what's the actual executional plan and how do we get there and execute
Yeah.
it. Lots of consultants within the space say, I'll give you the ideas and then good luck. Ideally, we want to see it through. So we want to come up with the ideas, tell them what to do, give them the roadmap, and then execute it for them and follow up with the post analysis and recos for the future. I'll stop.
100%. That, because strategy without implementation, what's the point, right?
Right.
And
Many times those organizations, they'll get the strategy and they may believe in it, but then who's going to execute it? It's going to be
yeah,
passed to someone who's going to look at this plan and be like, thanks, but I got all these other things to do.
yeah.
You didn't author it, so I have no investment in the game. So good luck. And it gets tabled and they've wasted money. Sorry,
And
I cut you off.
no, you're good. You're good. Feel free to cut me off as much as you like. And because at the end of the day, it's exactly what you said, but also somebody might not even have the skill sets. So they might see the strategy and they don't know how to actually see it through properly or track certain metrics. I guess from your experience so far, consulting and freelancing and working with different nonprofits, trade organization, community-driven businesses, what do you see as some of the problems that they typically face or just things they're doing wrong in the marketing realm?
That's a really good question. There are so many. And I don't see it as a negative thing. I see that as being like where we can help. So it's not about here's where they stink. It's more about here's where help is needed and something that ideally I want to offer them. But one is around most marketing people within this industry that I'm broadly calling community driven. They are behind the times, which I talked about a little bit earlier. So when it comes to marketing innovation, marketing tech stack, which ways are they driving engagement within their community? And their membership is an aging population. And so you want to retain the members you currently have, but you
Mm,
also want to keep your eyes set on what's coming, which means a
new
younger
business.
generation. And you need to make sure that the offering for the younger generation, as well as how you communicate to that younger generation, is going to resonate with them. And so there's a need there for being able to innovate and resonate with your existing as well as new in terms of membership. The other piece is around bandwidth. Most of these organizations, they've got so many things to do that the time to innovate, the time to focus on like stepping back and saying big picture, what are our overarching like business goals and how can marketing
Mm,
help enable that? There's not enough time for that. Or for the organizations that we're targeting, they don't have enough resources to pay for a CMO that can think that way. And so they hire maybe like interns as an example, who are like, no knock on interns. I need interns at the end of the day. Are you going to get highly strategic thinking out of an intern that's 1 year out of college? No, you do need to pay for that skill to be able to put together a plan that can be executed against. And then you
yeah,
need the people to be like actually execute at it and get it done. But you're not going to get that kind of high level strategy thinking from a really junior person.
yeah,
So that's where everyone's so strapped for time, so strapped for resources, they aren't necessarily investing their brain bandwidth and skill in the right places to help them innovate. Does that make sense?
yeah. That makes perfect sense. They're so stuck in the day-to-day mundane activities of the things that you need to do to keep the business running, but you're missing the long-term vision. Because if you don't have a bullseye or a North Star that you're aiming towards, then you can get nowhere very fast. Essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, please. It sounds like they're outsourcing or fractionalizing a CMO. So you're coming in as somebody who's high level, who's basically executive level talent, if not much more. and can come in and do it without them having to pay a salary or like a W-2 or anything like that, but they still get the strategic advantages of having somebody like that.
Yeah, I think for the organizations that we're targeting, they need short-term help. They need someone to get them on the right track, to help them author the plan forward innovation-wise, and knowing full well that how quickly those organizations can move, given the boards they have to work with, and given it's not a fast-moving industry. But they need the roadmap. They need the plan. They need to see the path forward. And what are the gates along the pathway that can give them an indicator that they're moving in the right direction? And so that's where having that investment be short term for them really makes sense because it then arms them with the tools to be able to go off and do. Listen, I'd be happy to like work with a client for years. That'd be amazing. But like in all real being realistic, that's just not how it's going to roll because people, those organizations wouldn't be able to afford that
Yeah.
for a shorter duration of time to then get that plan, have it be executed, get some key learnings. These are your key learnings, what you do moving forward. Now, then they can it's like passing the torch. But you're not just passing the torch on here's your strategy, good luck. It's
Yeah.
no, here's your strategy. We've executed some of it. Here are the key learnings, and this is how you're going to optimize moving forward. Keep on going.
100%.
They've got some experience co-authoring through execution.
I like that. I like that. So you're also, in a sense, not really training their team, but they're learning more so by osmosis. That makes sense.
Yeah, so, honestly, I would say training too. A big part of what I've always done with organizations, whether I'm building a shopper marketing function or the analytics function or whatever you like, I'm building the function, but then I'm training the organization on how to leverage these centers of excellence and these capabilities. And marketing innovation is just it's another capability that you're
Yeah.
then educating on and trying to help level up. At the end of the day, I want the organizations I work with to be successful, whether that's around membership or engagement or non-dues revenue or fundraising. Like, I want all of those goals to be hit out of the park. Stability, growth. That's what I want for them. Yeah.
I love that. That's amazing. Walk me through, if we were to look into the future, what are some of your long-term visions for CNK Consultants? And I guess long-term we can define as 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. Right now, we're 2 months in. And so and if you, as I spoke to a little earlier, my background is not heavily focused in where we're building. So community-driven organizations, of course, I've got 5+ years experience working in that industry. But most of my experience, the other like 20 years, because I'm old, is all for-profit organizations. And so as I look at 5 years down the road, I undoubtedly am going to have a mix of business just through my own context. I'm going to be doing shopper marketing for organizations
Mm,
as part of this consultancy. And that's fine. We're marketing ourselves as community driven, but like when you're building something, you got to take the opportunities where they come in order to gain that momentum. And
yeah.
so in 5 years, I would want us to be more focused on community-driven organizations. And as a brand, and by brand recognition within the industry, being recognized as thought leaders and key partners within the organization, a go-to for answers and problem solving. That's what I want to make sure that we're known as a
Mm,
when it comes to the monetary piece, I would want to have this be my only job versus having to get a part-time thing or maybe a role that I can do more easily and have it supplement this. So
yeah.
I'd want this to be like me being my own boss. I don't
Yeah.
have grand designs, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but it's the real. Man, it'd be a first world problem, but I'm not expecting to sell this for billions at any point in time, or maybe even sell it at all. But what I'm hoping is that I can build something with Kaitlyn that's big enough that it can fund what I want to do in life. And when it's time for me to take a step back, because we're getting close to retirement, then it's something I can fall back on and
Yeah.
just stop when I want to stop. That's the ideal. Anything bigger than that's gravy. Of course, I would love those first world problems, but I'm not wildly driven by it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes it sounds like you're more driven by autonomy and the ability to design your life.
And I'm a little bit I'm in a different stage in my career than someone that's 5 years in. I'm 25 years in. I am 51.
You
So
look great, by the way.
thank you. I will take that all day long. It's just I have a little bit different mindset. My goals are a little different in terms of what I'm trying to achieve by when in order for me to, in order to enable me to do what. But I do know I'm the type of person that when it comes to the retirement age, I know me, and I'm going to most likely be like, no, I'm still like, I got things to do. Having this, if this was to work out in a good way, would be amazing because then it's all designed on like my rules and what I want to do and who I can help. And I think that 5 years down the line, I can maybe be a little bit more discerning around what I choose to focus on or not, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. You mentioned brand a couple times, and I'm super curious for you, and maybe this can tie into my other question, which is what are your top priorities going into 2025 for the rest of the year? What is your philosophy on building a brand, a
Mhm.
reputation, an image where somebody can see your logo or hear your name and immediately associate it with a particular thing?
Mhm. All right, those are both two good different questions. I think that when it comes to 2025 and what we're focused on, really, we've built the foundation for our brand. Anyone can go to our website and read all about us. We've even got case studies, all the good things. From my perspective, a really good V1. Your website is something that, or our website, anyone's website is always a work in progress. You're always innovating it and changing to make it work harder for you, which we will do. But the balance of this year is really, it's a biz dev thing. It's a biz dev,
Mm,
it's a brand development thing. And what I mean by that is that what are the things we're doing to help drive new business and close deals? We need that. We need money in order to sustain ourselves. So we are trying various different tactics in order to do that. One can be around our very own marketing innovation. We'll be doing things on LinkedIn in an automated way, as an example. We're going to look at testing
cool.
something like that. The other is through speaking engagements and events. So we're going to a couple of good events where
Nice.
we're partnering with people within the industry and we're co-hosting a cocktail hour for something. And in terms of getting exposure out there in front of the people who would be our clients, we're going to some key events. We are establishing some key partnerships in order to enable that. And I think that from a brand building perspective, yeah, there's like what we're saying and what things look like, which I think for now, foundation's done. Everything looks great. Brand building now for us means people seeing us, recognizing us, be like, oh yeah, I worked with Chad and Kaitlyn on MMC plus T. They were amazing to work with, and we got all this great stuff out of it.
Yeah.
As an example, stuff's the worst word to use, but I just used it. So us getting those key relationships, us getting those key partnerships, us getting the recommendation from people within the industry, that's what is going to be about brand building. It's really a lot of it is around relationship building and making sure that we are seen where we're at. Now, I think one of your questions probably had to do with brand recognition from like seeing our logo or something like that. And I think that's going to come with just there's not one thing. It's a concert of all the things that we're doing and having our logo appear in places for people to find out in order for that kind of repetition to lead to seared in the brain.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. And so it sounds like 2025 is very much leads and marketing, sales driven focus,
Yeah,
business
absolutely.
development in through the door. So you got the LinkedIn, you've got the speaking, you've got the different engagements, hosting cocktail hours, etc. What other strategies would you add that you guys are going to be exploring in terms of bringing in new business through the door?
Yeah, so I think there's going to be more of a concerted effort around speaking engagements. So whether we're doing lives on LinkedIn or different webinars with our partners
Cool.
or just submitting talks to the different key events that we want to be in front of those people. That's a big part of it. I also think another part of it is around it's really growth marketing, but as we think about our buyer persona and their journey through the funnel in order to sign a deal with us, what are the questions they have and what sort of content can we be arming them with in order to answer those questions, but also prove that we're like the right partners for them. So really what that means is some thought leadership pieces. So whether it be an ebook or some sort of smart infographic that can be really helpful for the marketers that we're targeting, really tips and tricks, anything to get them through the funnel and engage with us
Yep.
is what we focus on. Content, partnerships, events, speaking, and then testing some other more communication based, right? But
Yeah.
some other tactics in order to see how many people we can get in front of. Because while I know a
Yeah.
lot of people, I also don't know a lot of people. Let's get in front of them.
I love it. I love it. Bring as many leads through the door as possible.
Amen.
From a sales perspective, do you or what's the process going to look like there in terms of converting those leads into sales? Is it going to be like a phone call, Zoom call, multi-step process, one call close? What do you anticipate there?
Yeah, I think the closing process is going to be something that's going to evolve over time. Right now, it's still going to be a longer journey. We've got some things set up in terms of you can set up a discovery session. We have all the meetings set up. You click a link and you immediately get on the calendar and all that kind of good stuff. So
Cool.
facilitating that process is there, which is good. In terms of how many meetings have to happen in order for that to close a deal, God, like I hate this answer, but it's real. It really depends on the scope of the project. So another question you might have is, well, what's your rate card? Do you have a rate card? No. The answer is no, we don't. And that's a gross answer, but it's real because the scope of what we could do could be, yeah, I need you to make me a poster and print 500. Okay, that's cheap. Telling me you need for me to go in and do an analysis of all of your owned assets and give you a recommendation, the path forward to the next year, that's many more hours. So yeah, we have an hourly rate that we're working with. There's a little bit of wiggle room depending on scope and duration that'll get us at a price.
Yeah, I think that's how people can ensure they're getting the best service because it's not a one size fits all, especially in the marketing realm. It's because different businesses have different needs and, like you said, scopes of work. So it sounds like it's a custom tailored approach for whichever business is in front of you, which is exactly what needs to happen for them to actually get results.
100%. I would rather have it's account specific marketing. The more custom you are at your communication, the more successful it's going to be. It's going to be the same with this too. Depending on the business and what they need to achieve and how marketing can facilitate that, our scope's going to change and it's going to be different and the costs will vary with that based on everything that's included in that or what's required.
I love it. Let's go into a quick lightning round where basically I'll just rattle off a couple questions at you. Give me the first answer that kind of pops into your head. What's one tool or resource that's been a game changer for you? Maybe for CNK Consultants, but also just your marketing journey in general.
A CRM. So we've done a lot with HubSpot, not only in other organizations, onboarding it within organizations as an example. We brought it into Gather Voices, but we also are using it ourselves as a startup. And that tool and the marketing tools they can arm you with from building a website to really understanding how people are consuming your website to CRM to all of those key components are super critical in order for you to be successful. And it's enabled us to move really quickly and launch something that looks great and buttoned up, but also will continue to help us be smart around where the holes are and how to fill those gaps.
I love it. What's the best advice you've received about scaling a consulting business?
Yeah, I think the best advice I've been given, and this is just in general, is don't let great get in the way of good. That really means is, listen, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. It's in my makeup. I can't let that hold me up. If something's like 80, 90% there, just go. You can evolve things, change things as you move along, but speed and quality is always a battle, right? And so don't let great get in the way of good is something, it's a mantra I keep in my head.
That's powerful. I'm gonna write that down. It just solidifies for me the idea of consistent iteration, right? It's not
Yeah.
just a final version, you're consistently iterating all the time. And that's business, entrepreneurship.
There's never an end. What works today does not necessarily work tomorrow, but could the next day. That's another thing I say all the time because it's true.
I love that. What's one piece of advice you would give founders starting out, especially those that are transitioning from, traditional roles or more safer roles where they have a consistent salary coming in?
Yeah. So I think that for founders starting out, anything good takes a lot of work and sweat equity to make happen. And so it's a journey. It's not easy, but I will say if you're passionate about what you're doing, or people should ensure they're passionate about what they're doing because it makes those hours that you put into it and the losses that you experience totally worth it. Because when you
Mm,
win, then it's like, oh, you won. And that feels really good to your core. Being a founder of something is not for the meek. It's something that you have to understand that it takes a lot of work and effort. And it's not if you build it, they will come. That mentality will not get you anywhere. I think a strong work ethic, adaptability, and an ability to see your vision through the ups and downs is critical.
I love that. I know you got to run. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. So that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. I want to thank Chad for sharing your journey and insights. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also find more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through sales and marketing systems. Thank you so much and see you on the next one.